Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Charlie Cat Presents. You'll notice I'm walking into the range of the camera lens again because the program that I was using to do these videos, which I really like, HD Pro Microsoft, froze up. And in an attempt to defreeze it, I spent a whole day. And it didn't work. So I thought, well, you know what, the best thing to do would be to just uninstall it and reinstall it. So I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and now I have to buy it all over again. So somewhere around the 1st or the 3rd of September, I will have a few dollars again, and I will repurchase that so like the videos can hopefully look a little more professional again without me walking into it anyways. Until that time, though, you're going to be forced to look at my ugly mug while I normally could cut in pictures of what I'm talking about. I will try to put a picture in here on either my right or left, though, so hopefully, keep fingers crossed, that might work. Anyways, one day, a few years back, I was rummaging through a thrift shop here in Saginaw, and it was the trashiest thrift shop in my area, and I loved it, because underneath the trash, there was always some good things to be found. Some treasure just covered up by the other junk, and such was the case on this particular day. I happened upon a large, obviously Victorian serving platter. The rim was a scallop shape and it had cutouts on the edges, two edges, so that you could, for carrying it. It was really cool. The artwork on it was black, where I would typically expect to find a more common cobalt blue. So I was attracted to the color because it looked unusual to me, and the size, which also looked kind of unusual to me. So I turned it over and I found an interesting maker's mark on the back. First, there was the word Lucania, or Lucana, with a ship under it that looked sort of like the Titanic type ship, except it only had two smokestacks coming out of the top. And underneath the ship it reads T.B. Boot, Royal Stone Porcelain, Waterloo Potteries, England, RD number 211725, trademark. There was no price marked on it, so I took it to the checkout counter, and the lady looked up and she said, "I'm sorry, but it's not priced, so I can't sell it to you, and there's nobody here to price it right now." And I was ready to scream because I really wanted it. And I was disappointed because, I thought there was something really special about the serving platter, and there was. Well, she must have seen my disappointment, and she looked it over and thought for a moment and said, "Well, I'll let you have it for $5 if that's okay." And I agreed. I didn't know if it was worth more, didn't know if it was worth less, but I thought $5, I would be all right, spending that on it. So I gladly paid it and carried it to the car and home, where I learned a most fascinating story behind this particular piece. Sitting before my computer, I learned that this serving platter came from the British ocean liner, the RMS Lucania, which was owned by the Cunard Shipping Company. It was built by the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company of Govan, Scotland. It was launched into service on Thursday, February 2nd, 1893. So this is where the serving platter had come from. But there is more. The Lucania had a sister ship, the RMS Campana, and they were identical in dimensions and specifications. The RMS Lucania was the joint largest passenger liner afloat when she entered service in 1893, and on her second voyage, she won the prestigious Blue Riband to become the fastest passenger liner afloat, and kept that title until 1898. Now, both the Lucania and the Campana were partially financed by the Admiralty in Great Britain. The deal was that Cunard would receive money from the government in return for constructing vessels to Admiralty specifications, and also on the condition that the vessels go into Naval Reserve List to serve as armed merchant carriers when required by the government. In their day, both ships offered the most luxurious first-class accommodations that were available. And according to historian Basil Greenhill, he wrote that the interiors of the two ships, represented Victorian-era opulence at its very peak. The first-class public rooms and the en-suite staterooms of the upper deck were paneled in oak, satin, wood, and mahogany, and were thickly carpeted. And the predominant style was Art Nouveau, The first class dining salon was over 10 feet high and 98 feet long and 63 feet wide. And over the central part of that room was a well that rose up 3 whole decks to a skylight. It was done in the style described as modified Italian, with a coffered ceiling in white and gold and supported by iconic pillars. That's where this serving platter was used in that beautiful, beautiful setting. This beautiful, beautiful platter served the beautiful, beautiful Victorian people. On June 15th, can you imagine them? The men with their long jackets and the women with the bustles and all that kind of stuff. It had to be a sight to see. On June 15th, 1901, the RMS Lucania became the first Cunard line to be fitted with a Marconi wireless system. The sister ships served as Cunard's major passenger liners, or ships, until 1907. And in 1907, it was decided for various reasons that the Lucania was no longer needed. And the Lucania's last voyage was on July 7th, 1909, after which she was laid up at Huskisson's Dock in Liverpool. And on the evening of August 14th, 1909, she was badly damaged by fire and partially sank in her berth. So 5 days later, she was sold for scrap, and the contents of her interior were auctioned, and thus the journey of that wonderful platter started from Liverpool, England, ending it up over here in Saginaw, Michigan, over 100 years later in my humble collection. But how did the serving platter that I bought actually make it to Saginaw? Well, I'm sure there are a lot of scenarios that could be worked out, and each one would be just as fascinating as the next. So I leave it to you. And if you have a good idea, hey, share it with me in the comments. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear what you think. So this gives you an idea, though, kind of an idea of the rare treasures that are out there to be found, just waiting for someone like you or I to go in and pick them up and plunk a few dollars down and bring them home and treasure them once again. Thank you for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the program. Remember, here at the Dennis Morrison channel, you're always loved, cared about, and I would appreciate it if you would show a little bit of love and give me a thumbs up. That would mean a great deal to me and to my channel. I hope the rest of your day is awesome. God bless.